Before we go into our session this evening, I am going to let you know a little bit about us. So we are Narrowway Life. We are a Caribbean-based ministry, and our mission was born for our love for nature, studying the Word of God and taking people into nature. So one of the things that we would experience doing that is the wildlife. So that's why I have me so excited. So taking people into nature, this was a love that we had, and this is one of the reasons why we're so excited to share this aspect with you. As we made ourselves more available to God, He took us country living, and we have been living off-grid in the country for 7 years now, being able to work the land. And we saw that training. We see now that this was a training that God was using to help us, to help you guys, and help everybody who seeks to go country living to be better prepared in doing so. So we're so thankful for God using this experience. The other aspect of God allowing us to have this experience was to also share with the outpost that God is going to be setting up in St. Lucia as well. So this is something else that we're excited about. So our desire is to facilitate the observation of nature, the natural laws, because remember, it was God's first lesson book to us, to learn from it. What are the principles that God sought to teach us in this through nature, His lesson book? And as we do so, we learn a little bit about who we are, how God created us, and His purpose for our lives. So this process would help facilitate the restoration of our spiritual and physical well-being. And this is what the outpost is going to be about. This is what our ministry is about. And we're so happy that we can share this with you. So some of the things we do. So what do? We facilitate a prayer line for the spiritual growth and support. And it is always an encouragement to me because the testimonies that are shared on the prayer line is very, very, very encouraging to me every single week. And I encourage those of you who have not yet been a part of it to join us. You can join us every Sabbath morning from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. where we share, we read, and we learn a little bit more about country living and our relationship with God and being ready for Christ's second return. So the prayer line is one of the encouragements that we do. We also have country living consultations at all stages. So whether it be you want us to come and view the land that you have chosen, or you have a property already and you just don't know where to start, we come, we view the property, we give advice, we let you know what development processes you have to do. We design your plan to let you know a little bit more about what it would entail, a budget. So for example, some persons might decide to do a water system or rain harvesting, sorry. So all of these things we can help persons to help set up. So it makes it much easier when you're planning or when you're starting your country living experience, you have somewhere to start and you have persons that have gone before to help you to make this process a lot easier. Okay, so that's some of the things that we do. We also help with property development and planning. So you already have a property or you're considering a property. We can look at the terrain and say, okay, maybe this is a better place to put your house, or this is the better place to put your garden, or this is a very valuable resource on your property. So this is something else that we do. So we cost it, we help you plan it, and we see how best that it works for you. Because one of the things each and every one of us wants is to have a sustainable country living location. And one of the best ways to do that is to have a plan early. So you know where you are at its stage and you know where you want to be as time continues. So this is something that's very important. And this is something that we also assist families in Yes, and this is something that we help families to do as they go about this process to make this journey a lot smoother. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is our website. We're about to launch our forum. So you can go on there and ask questions. And there are experts, persons who have been there before, financial experts, the wildlife experts, all there willing to help us to be ready for that our development in the country. Okay, so home constructions and finishings, that is something else that we offer. And we always advise families to plan ahead. Most times you cannot find a country living location with a home on it already, especially in the Caribbean. Most of the times you have to build your own home and you have to customize it. And because most persons are considering downsizing and considering a customized home for maybe their ministry, we encourage persons to come in. Help us bring your plan that you have already. Help us, we can give you a 3D drawing of what the plan would look like and the whole works. So this is something else that we offer as our Narrowway Life ministry. We also are open to sharing outdoor recreational for development of skills and also for being more comfortable in nature. So what we have noticed is the more persons go into nature for a camp, a hike, a prayer retreat, the more comfortable you get. So the more comfortable you get, the more confident you will be that you can do the things that you need to do, for you to be out in the country. You feel more skilled. So if our outdoor recreation, we offer hiking, camping, and a lot of the hands-on skills that you're learning right now on Zoom. This is things you would have experienced hands-on first, which we prefer, but you come out and you learn these things. You actually get to see the things. You get to use the cutlass. You get to use a chainsaw. You get to sharpen it. So these are some of the things that we do as well. And I'm really excited to start really doing them in person once again. So we do seminars and skills training like this one. And we also offer Bible studies as well, because you cannot forget the spiritual. We understand that we have to be prepared for the physical aspect of it, but we need to also have the spiritual. And we also help families to find properties in the country, especially in St. Lucia. And we also provide networking for those overseas as well. So if you have a country property that you want to sell, especially in the Caribbean, let us know. Check out our website. Send us an email. We network all over. And the reason for that is as we share resources, we share skills, we can learn from each other. So we can obey God's call. So I'll share a few country living quotes and for this evening, and then we will allow our guests to speak, which I am very excited about learning. So especially those who are seeking to move out into the country, especially in raw land, this is for you. So if you have a friend that you know is in the country already or they're on raw land, you need to send them the link right now. Share that link so persons can learn. Okay, so our country living quote for today. The angels of mercy hurried Lot and his wife and daughters by taking hold of their hands. Had Lot hastened as the Lord desired him to, his wife would not have become a pillar of salt. Let us not be like him. The same voice that warned Lot to leave Sodom bids us, come out from among them and be separate, and touch not the unclean. Those who obey this warning will find a refuge. Let every man be wide awake for himself and try to save his family. Let him gird himself for the work. God will reveal from point to point what to do next. And I am always encouraged when there is this part. God will reveal from point to point what to do next. He does not leave us without an answer. And I am so happy for this. Hear the voice of God through the Apostle Paul. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who worketh in you both to will and do his good pleasure. So even the desire to go country living, it is God who places it in your heart. Even the desire to want to be a better person, it is even God putting this in you. So this is so exciting. Yes, beg your pardon? Yes, so my husband is like, overcome your fear of snakes as well. So let's go. Lot trod the plain with unwilling and tardy steps. He had so long associated with evil workers that he could not see his peril until his wife stood on the plain, a pillar of salt forever. And we know none of us want to be in that position. We don't want to be the ones who God has to pull out to listen. This is the original lifestyle, and God wants us to all experience this. So let us heed that call. So at this moment, I am going to open the floor for our guests, and they're my good friends. So wildlife lover, work in conservation in St. Lucia, studying conservation biology. I introduce Lenn Isidore and Mr. Tim, an extensive experience in wildlife conservation while working in Europe and abroad, studied wildlife conservation as well in St. Lucia, and they're both legendary bushmen. So if you ever need to...
I will show my face for that one. I endorse this message. You have me in the dark, but
yes,
I endorse these guys. Let me tell you.
Yes, they are good friends, and let me tell you, anybody you want to have next to you when you're running into the wilderness are those guys.
Just get one of them and put them in your bag.
So at this moment, I introduce to you Mr. Lenn Isidore and Mr. Tim. So let me allow them to share. Let me stop sharing so I can allow them to do so.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me clearly?
Good evening and good morning to you.
Yes, good evening. Sorry. So it's morning where I am. Yeah, Tim, can you hear us? Am I loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you both.
Okay, cool. And okay, cool. So I don't know if legendary bushman fits my cap, but yeah, Tim for sure is a legendary bushman, and we have a bit of experience working in wildlife conservation in St. Lucia and a bit abroad as well. So Tim, I don't know if you want to say some more about your exploits through the bushes. Or...
Not really, but I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity to, discuss something that's been a passion of mine for many years. So I'm really looking forward to discussing the famous St. Lucia viper. So yeah, let's dive into the presentation.
Cool. To start off, could we get an idea of like where people are from? Like we see a lot of people, but we're not sure if everybody's from St. Lucia or if is it a mix or...
Oh yeah, so guys, you can start posting in the chat. Where are you coming from? So we know where your wildlife experience is gonna be from. So we have Barbados, we have Trinidad, we have New York, we have Jamaica, Alabama. Oh, Trinidad, we have a lot of Trinidadians in the mix tonight.
Wow.
We have, Jamaica, but live in And in Canada, we have New York, upstate New York. St. Lucia, good. Dominica, all right.
I was wondering where the solutions were.
They're coming in. They're coming in.
Yeah, they will come in later on.
Yeah, they're coming in a little late. Jamaica, all
Wow,
right.
wow.
Virginia, all right.
Wow.
Okay,
Not sure I was expecting that, but that's really impressive.
Yeah. Okay, so we have like a broad regional.
In the Caribbean, the other
mix.
countries in the Caribbean, so
It's
still
okay,
good,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll focus on wildlife in the Caribbean, but since I guess the biggest fear is snakes, most of the presentation will focus on that, particularly the venomous ones. So with that, I'll share my screen. Can everybody see? Is the slide visible? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can see that.
And yeah, first slide, you have a beautiful, lovely, fantastic looking boa ready to bite. So so what we'll do, we'll run the presentation as a discussion, we'll make it interactive. So we'll ask some questions, we'll get some feedback, try to debunk some myths, and provide us advice as far as we know. And if we don't know the answer for something, we'll find out and let you know. And we'll leave our contact details at the end. So if you have questions down the road, feel free to contact us at any point. So yeah, so let's start off here. First question. Potentially dangerous snakes. Which list of islands would you find venomous snakes that are dangerous? Note what I said, venomous snakes are dangerous, because there are some that have some venom, but they're not considered dangerous. But some of these islands, some of these territories have some heavyweights. Okay, so I see an answer. I see some
Lots of people putting D.
So what was that thing? Oh, D, okay.
Yeah, lots of people putting D so far. Any other responses? B or C.
Okay. Okay, D from Curve Prime. C from Fiona. And feel free to chat as well. If you wanna just chime in and say, you can feel free to say why you think it's A, B, C, or D.
Hey.
C.
My name is Hanetta. I think it's D because we have something called, Lord help me, I think it's Mapapi.
Mapapi.
I honestly, that's the only snake I know. I'm so sorry. That's the only snake I know. I know, I know it's poisonous. So when I saw Trinidad, I was like, yep, I'm gonna pick D. I don't know anything after
that. Cool. And have you seen a Mapapi? Like, have you seen a...
Well, praise the Lord, I've seen Mapapi in pictures alone. I hope it stays that way.
Wouldn't it be a privilege to see one like firsthand in the wild?
I think I would like to see it from if I'm on a hill and they're down, that would be great.
Okay, cool. Hopefully by the end of the presentation, you'd want to see one up close and personal, like a few feet away from you, from a safe distance, but not necessarily from being up on the hill. Because they're actually beautiful creatures, huh? Yeah, so most persons said D, a few for B and C. So let's look at our map. So yeah, the answer is D. Martinique, St. Lucia, Trinidad, and Aruba. Aruba has one. It's very rare, it's a rattlesnake. St. Lucia has one as well. St. Lucia pit viper, only found in St. Lucia. The one in Aruba is only found there. Martinique has one. And Trinidad has two Mapipis. One is a type of Odylus, the other one is a Bushmaster. I think that one is called a Mapipis zanana locally. And you also have a coral snake. Who was from Trinidad? Was it Jaden? Well, who just spoke from Trinidad? Sorry, I missed your name.
Sorry, Hanetta.
Hanetta. Have you heard about coral snakes in in Trinidad? It's a colorful one with bands of colors.
I'm not sure
No?
if I have. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so if you're not on one of these islands, you don't have any snakes to worry about. Okay? If you're on the mainland, like I saw some persons from, I think, Virginia and Alabama, then you also have rattlesnakes, and in the US also has coral snakes. But in the islands, Aruba, Trinidad, and St. Lucia and Martinique. Okay, and anytime, feel free to jump in and ask questions. It's gonna make it interactive. We want to make it interactive. Question number 2, which of these is not a snake in our region? That's a harder one. Any answers?
2 people have gone for E, Timothy and
E?
Henrietta.
Okay, Henrietta.
They all look like snakes to me.
yeah, you're right. You're right. They're all snakes, but they're not all found in our region, in the Americas. Okay, so 2 answers for E. Why E? DOE? Okay.
Anybody could tell us why E? I don't think many other options.
We don't have any cobras here in the Caribbean, and E looks like a cobra to me.
Yes,
Okay.
very good. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he's a king cobra. Yeah. Yep, so that's right. The answer is E. So A is a bushmaster you find in, again, Trinidad, Mapipis and called locally, and also in South America. B and D, actually the same species, the St. Lucia frillis, St. Lucia pit viper. So the color varies a lot, but yeah, same species, B and D. C is a coral snake. So you find coral snakes in Trinidad and mainland of North America. You have the timber rattlesnake, again in the US, North America, and yeah, king cobra, nowhere in the region. Any comments, any questions so far?
But Len, I noticed that the frillis didn't have the diamond pattern on its back.
Didn't have the what?
The pit viper, they didn't have neither of them have the diamond pattern on the back.
Yes, some of them you see like that diagonal zigzag pattern.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as visible, huh? Timatin, I mean, I've seen a few frillis in the wild. My count maybe between 10 and 15. Timatin a lot more. Tim, what do you have to say about, like, in terms of
I think it's generally quite varied. A lot of it depends as well on the kind of molting period or in between molts. You would see it more apparent. You'd see the pattern on the back. But I think ours doesn't have a pronounced one like the Mapipi in Trinidad. It's not as pronounced. So you'd never really see that kind of striking dark over light colors.
Cool. And we have a question, Tim, from Cindy Cauldron. What about Georgia? Cindy, are you asking, are these snakes in Georgia, or which snakes are in Georgia?
Which snakes are in Georgia? Are they venomous?
I can tell you generally for North America. I'm not sure which ones are exactly in Georgia. That's something we'll have to look up. In terms of venomous snakes across the US, you have a few species of rattlesnakes, and you have coral snakes. These are the main ones.
Yeah.
So in terms of what's locally in Georgia, that I'm not sure. Never been to Georgia, I don't know.
I had a question about the coral snake. This is Vanessa from Trinidad.
Hey, Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Hi. I'm seeing the colors you have there. Are they always this color, or are they other colors as well? I feel like if the ones I've seen before was not this color. So I'm just wondering.
Mm-hmm. So they're 2 different. Okay, so this particular species of coral snake, Eastern coral snake, you find in North America. So the one in Trinidad is a different species, similar colors, but the pattern might be different. So I think that's what you're referring to. So you still have the red and black and yellow, and the red band will be against the yellow band.
Mm-hmm.
But there might be there's likely some variation in the color pattern. And I think we have an answer for venomous snakes in Georgia, the water. Yes. So you have the cottonmouth and copperhead as well. So also pit vipers like the rattlesnake, cottonmouth, copperhead, coral snake, rattlesnake. Okay, so across the US, rattlesnakes, coral snakes, and closely related to rattlesnakes, you have the copperheads and cottonmouths. All of them are pit vipers, but pit vipers just mean they have these holes between the eyes and the nostrils that they use to sense heat. Okay, so Cindy, I think it was Cindy Cauldron, your question has been answered.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so any other questions or comments before we go on? Somebody said, I typically don't like snakes or even like to talk about them. Hopefully, after today's presentation, you'll have more of an appreciation. Which of these snakes are from our region? Same question, different photos.
A is from our region.
Yeah. Yep. So which one is not from our region?
Oh, not.
Not.
C.
C. Okay, so you have one.
I don't know. It looks really strange.
I think A is not from our region.
Okay. So one answer for C. C looks strange. One answer for A. Somebody said B is the racer. Any other answers before we see who's right?
Is B the very tiny snake that we have in St. Lucia, Lynn?
That's correct. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Who I know this. Who's it? I know this voice though.
Sam Desca.
Yeah. long time, Sam.
Lynn, I've seen a number of these by my home, maybe almost a dozen of them or a little less.
Okay. Now the tricky thing is there's one that's introduced as well, the flower pot snake. It's probably all over the world now. Like it's been transported with plants. And it's really similar to ours. So the one in the picture is ours, the St. Lucia thread snake or St. Lucia worm snake. But it's also possible that the one you have is a similar species, but it's not ours. It's really difficult to tell them apart. But yeah, they're harmless. They look like this, tiny, and yeah, they're snakes. Somebody called it a racer. The racer is also small, but not that small. And when in St. Lucia, when you find a racer on Maria Island, the big one, Maria Major. There are also some of the racers across the region, across the Caribbean region. And C, doesn't B have little legs? Somebody just asked. No, it has no legs. No legs. Mm-hmm. It's not a skink if that's what you're thinking of. Or we have one in St. Lucia, the Zandolite, or the rough-scaled worm lizard that has little legs, but no, this one is a snake. B again is the Bushmaster, Mavipi, Zanana from Trinidad and South America. Very, very large venomous snake, largest pit viper in the region. And C is not a snake at all. C is an eel. So if you're snorkeling in our waters, sometimes in very shallow water, you see something that looks like a snake crawling on the sandy bottom. Yeah, it's an eel. It's called gold-spotted snake eel.
I think somebody said asked if B is harmful, and it's not. The worm snake isn't harmful at all.
Yep, completely harmless. Any other snake questions? Now somebody mentioned.
Good night. Good night.
Hey, good night. Go on. Good night.
Good
night. Yes, I just want to find out how to get rid of the snake.
Okay, how to get rid of? Okay, get rid of them from like the whole island, the whole country, the world. Or,
no. Say you have a property and they have snakes on the property.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get to that. Sorry, what is your name?
My name is Sisi.
Sisi, we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Okay, we'll answer your question soon.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Some boy said I will have nightmares about snakes tonight, Lucy. We hope not.
I doubt you wait by the end of this presentation. I'm sure a lot of those fears will be.
Yes, snakes are.
rationalized.
Yes, snakes are gonna bad rap. I don't know. Maybe it's because of what the devil did. Like he became a serpent. That's part of it. Maybe that's the whole of it. I don't know. But yeah, we don't have that much to worry about snakes. The only, I mean, out of the, what's it, Tim? Like over 3,000 species in the world, 3,500, and only 600 are venomous. So most snakes pose no threat or very little threat. And even the potentially dangerous ones, they only strike in defense. So yeah, very little to worry about when it comes to snakes.
Yes, good night.
Good night.
Listen,
Good night.
I will definitely have nightmare tonight because let me just give you this one incident. Well, we have a country property. So I was there just picking up some galvanized sheeting. And there I look, I see this snake pop his head up. And trust me, I run out of my boots. I was gasping for breath. And it's so funny, eh? I'm walking through the forest, I'm walking through the bush, I'm not literally thinking about snake. But if I see it, it's like I am going to die. And right now I am like shaking and I'm just watching the snake on the screen. I don't like snake at all.
There's something called as exposure therapy. Yeah? So hopefully.
No, I don't know. Jesus himself have to take that fear of snake, but in defense of my children, I will face him face to face, yes. But other than that, no.
Yeah, you can definitely overcome that fear. Yeah, just keep pray about it, fast and pray if you have to. But yeah, nothing to worry about. Once you know what to do around snakes and what not to do, and how to maintain your property, which we'll get into. Yeah, you have little to worry about. Snakes are not as bad as people make them out to be. Somebody commented, I like most snakes, they keep rats away. Yeah, very good point. Yep. I think snakes are very good at that. Rodent control. Snake was there the entire time and did nothing. What is that? Link, make sure you had a comment. He said the snakes were there.
No, I'm saying she was there the entire time she was there. The snake was there with her, and the snake didn't do anything.
Oh, you're going to
she's talking about
she saw it.
Comment.
Everything.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. Cool. Let's go to statement about snake bites is true. So talk about a bit about snake bites. So which statement about snake bites is true? Most snake bites occur below the knee and on the lower arm and hand. That's A. Oh, sorry. The second one should be B. You should cut and suck out the venom from a snake bite.
Applying a tourniquet, I don't know if that's the right thing, but I know I've heard them say you should take the snake, so they should see what the snake look like, I think, to the hospital. So I think so.
Okay. Yep. A good explanation.
Yeah,
good point.
What if you at night you can't see the snake?
What's your question? Sorry, or your comment? You said something about at night. I missed that. Sorry.
So what if at night you can't see the snake?
Okay, so yeah, you're exactly right. So the answer is a most bites occur below the knee and on the lower arm and hand. So in the US, actually, you have more bites, more people are bitten. I looked at the stats, more people are bitten from the elbow down to the fingertips than anywhere else on the body. In St. Lucia and other places in the Caribbean, more bites occur from the knee down. But a few of the bites, a few of the persons get bitten from the hand, from the elbow down to the hand.
What are the reasons for that?
Take a guess. Why do you think? Why do you think that that's the case?
Well, snakes are usually underground a lot of the time. As people move, they may step on, and well, I suppose because they're underground, most of the times you're likely to get attacked from the knee below. And for the hand, as people are probably doing work with their hand, they may come in contact with a snake, whether it is above or below.
And that's exactly right. That's Sam again, right? Sam, you spot on. Yeah, so most snakes, especially the venomous ones, tend to be underground. I mean, they can climb, but most of them, like our pit vipers, for instance, usually underground. So you're walking through, you don't have rubber boots or long boots on. You get bitten, yeah, chances are it will be from your knee down, calf area, your ankles, or even on your foot if you have like sandals or if you have barefoot. And a lot of people, as Sam said, yeah, they're reaching down and probably cutting grass. They get bitten on the hand, or a lot of people actually try to hold the snake, try to grab the snake for whatever reason, and they get bitten. Or when trying to kill a snake, they get close and they get bitten on the arm or hand. Somebody commented that there are kits to assist with removing venom, but we'll talk about those kits in a minute. You should not cut off the venom, eh? Yeah, go on, Tim, go on.
No, I was just talking about one other misconception about where snakes are found. Snakes can also be found in water. They're actually very good swimmers as well. So there's a misconception even within forestry when I work that if you walk in the river that you won't get bitten by a snake, and snakes can move through the water.
Yeah, very good swimmers, very, very capable swimmers. And yeah, you should never cut and suck out the venom. I mean, maybe like 30 years ago or so, that was considered as a treatment option. But now that you're just doing more harm. For one, some types of snake venom prevent blood clotting. So if you cut and then the blood isn't clotting, then you're just going to have bleeding. Yeah. So you're doing some more damage. I'm applying a tourniquet. Yeah, it's also dangerous because some types of venom. Hold on, somebody asked a question. Repeat what I said about snakes in water.
It's just about where they're found. I was commenting that snakes can actually swim in water, can be found in water swimming. There's a very good video on YouTube. I'll see if I get the link again to share with you. The last few minutes, you could see the snake actually floating in water and move into the water. They're very good swimmers. So just to be aware of that.
And Tim, somebody has...
I have a question.
Go on, sorry.
Does that include the sea as well? Or is that's fresh, that's unsalted water, right?
Yeah, so it's fresh water. So all the snakes that we've spoken about so far, maybe not the coral snake. I'm not sure if Len, you know about these, but there are also sea snakes as well that live in the ocean. But yeah.
Yeah, fresh water. Okay. Like in our region, we don't have any sea snakes. So, well, on the west coast of Central America, supposedly have like a few, now and then they get a sighting of, I think it's a yellow-bellied sea snake. But sea snakes generally in the Pacific. Well, the west coast of Central America is also the Pacific. So in the Caribbean region, in the Caribbean Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, you don't have sea snakes. So in freshwater, in rivers, yeah, be careful as well. Somebody had a question. I have a snake in my pond. How can I get rid of it? Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, so that's like the first question we had of removing snakes from their land. We could answer that those together. But I think by the end of the presentation, you'll have a better understanding of A, why they're there, and B, what to do in that situation.
Mm-hmm. And
I would take your question.
Yeah, look at the questions then. These questions then. Applying a tourniquet, yeah. So you don't want to, some people would apply a tourniquet, like wrap, I don't know, take a belt or something and tie it around between the bites and the heart to slow down the spread, but that's not recommended either. For one, some types of snakes, like the pit vipers, for example, like our Photolas in St. Lucia, the venom destroys the tissue. So you don't want to, you apply something that restricts the flow. It won't be effective at doing that in the first place, and two, it just adds to the damage to the tissue. Because the snake venom actually digests tissue to make it easier for the snake to swallow a rodent or something. So just increasing the damage to the tissue. So don't do that. And important to bring the snake in, it's not like if you can safely take a photo. I mean, if a snake bites you in St. Lucia or Martinique, you only have one venomous snake, so you don't need to take any photo. In Trinidad, maybe if you can safely take a photo, but don't try to catch a snake or kill the snake, because you're just putting yourself in harm's way. And then you have like you have more people who need to go to the hospital. So if you can get a photo safely, fine. You go on, Tim?
No, I was just saying same for the US as well with all the different types of venomous species. Best to take a picture.
And a lot of times, like when you get to the hospital, they won't treat you right away. They'll monitor you for symptoms of the venom. So, because if they administer antivenom and you get what is called a dry bite, like that is a bite with no venom, then they can make it worse. So they'd look for symptoms. So with the coral snakes, there'll be certain symptoms. They affect the nervous system. With the pit vipers, like the rattlesnakes and the Photolas and so on, they destroy the tissue and they affect the blood. So generally speaking, at least in our region, it's not essential to identify the snake. And we have certain types of antivenom that work across a few different species. So yeah, and the correct answer is A, most bites occur below the knee and arm and hand. So that's something to think about in terms of being safe, what you should be wearing when going through areas that may have snakes. Any other questions or comments before we go on? Okay, so go on to the next slide. Which of these individuals is wearing clothing that could help protect against snake bites?
C.
Sorry, what is the answer? B? Okay, somebody said B. B, okay. You gonna say why?
C.
Why B? Somebody said C. Okay. Feel free to say why as well. Huh?
B is because.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. You go first. It's okay.
Okay. B, he's in the proper gear. He's wearing a boots, a long pants, and a long jersey.
Okay. Yep. Boots, long pants, long shirts.
And what about somebody said C?
The reason I said C, I just blew it up. My eyes, I didn't have my glasses on. Her sandals are not right because they could attack her feet. But like the thick jeans is like, I think it's good having thick jeans on, but the sandals kind of is not a good idea. Or the slippers, not a good idea.
Okay. So you're saying the jeans is good, sandals not a good idea. Okay, good point.
In B, the man's hands are exposed. That's the only thing. So you said something about the snake could bite the arm. So
Okay, good point. So everything is protected but the hands. Anybody
I guess
for
if he was going in the forest, he would have wear like a protective gloves, but because just randomly take a picture to show us, be more appropriate than you ask.
And what about D? Anybody for D or A? Are they wearing anything protective? Anything that could help? No?
Nah. In A, those ankles are kind of
Just add this person. So for example, okay, so let's start from A. Tim, yeah, jump in anytime. Huh? So A, you can barely see the shoes. So you can tell she has shoes on, which is better than C having sandals. So she has shoes on, that's a good start. So the shoes will offer some protection against bites to her feet. Apart from her shoes though, she has very little protection. I mean, she has her lower legs are exposed, her calves are covered, but it's like a soft material and it's tight. So that's like no protection for legs. But her feet are covered. So she has at least a bit of protection there. We'll come back to B. C, someone said, yeah, the jeans offer some protection and they're also baggy. So if a snake tries to bite her calf or one of them, chances are hit the jeans and not go through to the skin. But the sandals offer no protection. So again, partial protection, the jeans good, sandals bad. D, no protection for the legs, but the feet are well protected with these heavy hiking boots. And A and B, sorry, yeah, these guys are just about as well protected as you can get. So they have hiking boots on. From the ankles to the knees, I don't know if you can see clearly, but they have gaiters on, snake gaiters, which you basically wrap them around your lower leg and they offer some extra protection. So they're quite good to have. And yeah, long sleeve shirts. I mean, the shirt is a soft material, but at least it's loose. So maybe if they're lucky, a snake might just hit the shirt and not go through. But yeah, B is the best option, but they all have certain elements that offer some degree of protection. Is that clear? Any other comments or questions? What I just said? Tim, anything I missed?
No, none at all. That's good.
Cool. So and Helena, you asked wearing long sleeve shirts and long pants. So I hope I answered your question. So whenever you're in an area you think may have snakes, yeah. I mean, if you have rubber boots, those would be great. Or at least hiking boots, long pants, preferably loose long pants. And yeah, most bites, unless you're trying to, if you're cutting grass or something, then you'd want to protect your arms if possible. But yeah, protecting the lower legs, the extremities, your feet, soft shoes, long pants. That'll go a very long way. And then of course you look where you're stepping. Don't just walk around with your eyes down on the phone. I guess, yeah, that wouldn't be a thing if you living deep in the country. Hopefully you won't have service, so take a break from the cell phone. But yeah, look where you're stepping. If you're stepping over a log, look before you step over. Make sure there's nothing on the other side of that log, nothing on the side of that rock when you're about to walk by. Just be careful. And snakes generally want to get out of your way. They feel the vibration. They want to move. They want to get out of your way.
Yeah, And also just one other thing to add, Len, with regards to, they normally bask in the sun. So if you see an open area or a large rock in some kind of open sun within the forest or in the bush or by the side of the river, normally you would see snake species of both kinds. In St. Lucia, for example, both the boa constrictor and the florilans like these areas to bask in because they are cold-blooded animals.
And Tim, what should you do? So you're walking on a trail and you see a snake in the trail basking in some warmth. What should you do?
If it hasn't moved before you come close to it, because they would know you and feel the vibrations, and they would say, hey, you come in and move across. If they haven't, then I'd advise to either just stop and let them move off the trail or go around them if you can in a careful way, because there might be just to make sure that off the trail doesn't have any other snake or any other kind of maybe precipice or kind of danger from a log for you to trip over anything on there and fall into the path of the snake. So I'd say stop, and good that you notice it ahead of you. It'll most likely basking in the sun or resting. So wait for it to move or move around it if you can safely.
It is said that they sleep very soundly. If they are sleeping that soundly, is the vibration enough to wake them up for them to move?
I've not heard of them sleeping very soundly. What I do know, they're very good kind of sense of sound and smell. So they will hear, especially if they know that they're in an area, they understand that they're in an area where a lot of people pass through. If it's not an area, I guess, they kind of comfortable with where they are. It's up to you to look out for them in that area. But I haven't heard anything about
Tim, you're saying that's a myth that they sleep very soundly?
I'm not saying it's a myth. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard anyone kind of say that before.
And somebody just shared a snake encounter. Chrissy, you want to tell us about that encounter when you were hiking in Alabama? You want to tell us more about it? So Chrissy said she was hiking and she stepped over. I saw a friendly snake. I like that. I saw a friendly snake on the trail. I stepped over it, and then I remembered my friends who are scared of snakes. I returned and helped it to move into the bush so it would not be killed. Yeah, very good, Chrissy. Was certain what kind of snake, but it was not poisonous. M said there's no friendly snake at all. Okay, so let's look at the next. Okay, so which yard is least likely to attract snakes?
C.
Yeah, that would definitely be C.
Why C?
It don't have any wood and much crowded space and any way for the snake to really hide into.
Mm-hmm. With the exception of the vegetation, you can see all the way to the back. The habitat for the three other pictures look very possible for snakes, especially E and D.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you could think of what exactly, why would a snake want to stay in A or B? What would attract a snake to there? Is it the pile of wood? Do snakes like pile of wood, or do they like the undergrowth? Why would they be attracted to any of these others and not C?
I guess A and D team looks more like a place where they can stay away from other people's activity.
Yeah, that's definitely one reason.
I don't know why, but from experience with snakes, they're usually, you can usually find them on the piles of wood and a bunch of them too.
That's right. I don't know who said that. That sounds. Yeah. It's also right. Let's see if somebody else will.
And so the person who just spoke, like, where do you, what's your name and where do you live? Like, where have you seen snakes?
My name is Davian.
Hey, Davian.
I saw them when I was in Virginia at school.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And which part? Like, I spent a bit of time in Maryland, Virginia. I'm just curious, which part?
In
Virginia?
Near Culpeper area.
Culpeper. Anywhere, is that anywhere close to like Shenandoah Valley?
Yeah, so it's in
No?
the Shenandoah Valley area. We're about like,
okay.
Like, if you say we're pretty much surrounded by the mountains of Shenandoah.
Okay. Yeah, beautiful place to be. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's right. So C is probably too manicured there, like too artificial looking, but just for the sake of proving a point, making a point. So yeah, you have piles of wood in A and D. B is like, yeah, overgrown. So snakes generally would avoid cutting up open areas. They like cover. Somebody mentioned they like cover to surprise their prey. Yes, a lot of them are ambush predators. They like to wait and then strike, although some would actively hunt. But they generally avoid cutting across open areas. So if you keep your area clean, yeah, get rid of the boards of plywood, the galvanized sheets. Yeah, generally can avoid having snakes close to your house.
Yeah, and that's I think somebody wrote it in the chat about the prey species, including rats and kind of rodents like these areas as well, especially kind of mice in the undergrowth there and in B, and then A, rats like to kind of nest in that kind of underwood and stuff, boards and stuff, same as they. So that would attract the snakes, and also it's a safe haven for them, so they could feed and also digest their food under A, B, or D as well.
Someone raised M raised his hand. Go ahead, M.
Yeah, but basically, if you're living in the country, if you're doing country living, you will most likely to always see snake, because you have like woods around and all these things. So if you're living in the country, as how the spirit of prophecy tell us to be in the country, and the kind of how it will be, you basically encounter plenty snake. But as I say, you will get in the things that will keep them away, because I know the cayenne pepper and like ginger, when you plant those stuff close by to the house, it will help to keep them away from coming close to the house.
Well, I've heard of different things that can be used as repellent, like ammonia, and I'm not sure if any of them work, though. I don't think there's anything conclusive in terms of how effective they are. So as to what actually works and what doesn't, I don't know. What works is trying to keep your area clean, for sure. That really that goes a long way. But in terms of like these other methods, like ginger, cayenne pepper, ammonia, yeah, I don't know. I've not heard or read anything conclusive about those.
Me neither. And also with the pile of woods, I think the last person was talking about being in the kind of living in the wild, sort of talking about not being able to provide a clean area or keep the area clean. In A, in the photo there, and D, I think it's for you to, I mean, if kind of a Christian life, it's difficult for you to get to that stage if you're organized, where you have your wood for fire, it's piled up. It's not in that kind of disorganized manner that we see in A and D, and I think that's what snakes in particular like. I think they like crevices to go under and to hide. So I definitely think even though you're living in the forest or in the bush, it's still representing a Christ-like character, which is organized and clean and tidy. not sure about black disinfectant, but I haven't heard like Lenn of any. I've heard of the cayenne pepper before, and even ginger. But I think if there's any kind of prey species, including mouse or rats or anything, they'll still come in to try and get those prey species.
I have heard that strong scented chemical encourages them to flee away. Is that so? For instance, now that you don't have much farming going on, places with less farming, we see the snakes coming back, and some people are saying some of the reasons why they were not around is because of some of the chemicals here. So is that so?
It could very well be, because the chemicals are also persistent in the environment, and they also cause, like they go up the food chain, so they, the mouse feed on whatever food stuff, and then so I guess. But with regards to directly affecting snakes, I think it's possible, but I haven't heard any kind of evidence to suggest that as yet.
Yeah, but Tim, could it also be possible that because the farmers put rat poison, the snakes eat the rat and the snakes die together with the rat?
Yeah, as well. Yeah, that is another possibility. One thing I did hear, and I'll share it here with you all. I remember working in Louvet in St. Lucia, and everybody, when we were working down there, said Louvet was a place with a high density of snakes. And when we got there, we didn't see any snake. And on one of the guys from Olio said that because there are cows and some people have their cows roaming there, that the snakes fled. So I don't know if that's true, whether that's the case or because people actually killed them and drove them away from the site. But yeah, it is because the cows, when I don't know if anyone of you have been down to Louvet, they move all over the area, and so they could trample and kill snakes. And I don't think they are susceptible to the venom. I don't know if you know, Lenn.
Yeah, I don't know for cows. I know for pigs and manico or some. Yeah, they not. I don't know for cows though. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're quite big as a pianos. Yeah, probably not.
Found the baby snake under my neat pile of cut firewood.
What's the comment?
Lives in the US.
What did Love Triumphs? What did you do when you found the baby snake? Like what?
I actually killed it.
We won't judge you, don't worry.
You won't at all.
It was on my porch, so I killed it.
Okay, yeah, understood. Yeah, so be careful around firewood. Yeah, around wood, piles of wood. Also be careful like how you dispose of your garbage. Like if you have like your compost pile or something, your fruits rotting, vegetables and so on, because these can attract rats, mice, and that's food for the snakes. So yeah, anything that will attract rodents might inadvertently attract snakes. Somebody said, yeah, you're basically in their habitat. Yeah, so when you move into the country, you have to live in harmony with what was there before you. But for the amount of time, I'm sure Tim could probably say the same thing, the amount of time I've spent in the forest for fun and for work, doing surveys, even doing snake surveys, I've seen not that many snakes. I mean, I'd have thought I'd have seen like thousands of snakes by now. But yeah, like
or even seeing the same snakes in the same place. You'd hardly find that because the species themselves, they're very cryptic. And by nature, they'd want to use less of their venom on their prey. So any occasion they see a big, let's say a human being, which is not part of their prey species, they're trying to avoid them unless, for example, carelessly you step on them or you provoke them or in some way. I think those are the main ways, especially with our species, the St. Lucia viper. It different to maybe, I don't know if you know, Lenn, rattlesnakes in the US or the other cottonmouth vipers, if they do actually, if provoked, they will chase you or attack you.
Yeah, they wanted, like, they all pit vipers that they won't chase it, they just react defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you're saying, Tim, like the snake doesn't want to waste its venom on something it cannot eat. So it can't swallow a human. The venom to make the venom is protein. It takes a lot for the snake to produce venom. So the way is that on something it can't eat, it's not something it wants to do. So only reluctantly and in defense. And sometimes the snake would actually bite and not inject any venom. But once you get bitten, of course, yeah, go to the hospital just in case. But yeah, the snake doesn't want to. Somebody is asking, are copperheads dangerous? Yeah, copperheads also have venom. Not sure if they're as dangerous as the rattlesnakes, but they also get pit vipers, so they also are venomous. And yeah, get bitten by a copperhead or cottonmouth, yeah, go to the hospital. And speaking of snake bites and treatment, what should you do? So okay, so you said where the bites, yeah, lower legs and arms. But if you get bitten, what's the procedure? What should you do? Apart from pray, of course.
Squeeze it out. You could put charcoal, or if you could cut it out, but not that big of a cut. But you could apply some charcoal and see how fast you could get to the hospital to seek medical assistance.
Which if something is injected like into the tissue with charcoal on the surface, draw it out. I'm asking.
You could drink the charcoal, but the charcoal will help it from spreading, further, and then you could move hastily to the hospital, I guess.
Okay.
If there's a way to reduce blood circulation, I think that would help as well in terms of how quickly it will spread into your bloodstreams.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good point.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that take away from your time that it would take to get to the hospital? Doesn't that length for the time it takes to get to the hospital to apply charcoal and all these other things?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So the official recommendation, that's from the nurses and doctors in St. Lucia, and I looked up the US official. It's just get to the hospital as soon as you can. Don't try anything else. Just go to the hospital. Try to keep the person calm, keep the victim calm, because if they're excited and scared, like Sam was saying, your heart is beating fast, your blood is pumping more quickly. Stay calm and get to hospital. Don't try to cut or suck or yeah. That's the official recommendation. Other parts of the world. Go on.
I was saying, I think at one time in St. Lucia, they were saying another recommendation is to try to get in touch with the hospital ahead of time and inform them so they could be certain preparation. I think that was linked to the supply of antivenom and where they are being stored. So that was a recommendation as well.
I have a question.
Well remembered, Sam. Sorry, KP.
Yeah, I have a question. Yes, so I'm hearing the recommendation is to get to the hospital, but thinking and moving forward, you'll not be able to buy or sell. You're living in a secluded place. We're enemies of the state. How do we treat ourselves without going to the hospital because they won't accept us there?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, huh?
It's not really a difficult question. I was about to ask the same question she asked, because if we study the principle that Sister White gave us, how we'll know herbs and all these things, and we are in the country, as you say, we have no cell phone signal, and it is the night, and you just, get attacked by one of these poison snakes. What do? We have to learn medical missionary work so we could know, okay, we could apply these herbs and then to see how much of, the venom could stop to go to the bloodstream and all that, and then we could move on from there. Because when the time of trouble comes, we ought not to be in the city, as my sister say, the state, when all earthly support is cut off. So we have to use the knowledge of knowing the herbs and what to do, and God will do the rest when that time comes. So I thank my sister for bringing out that question.
Yes.
I want to agree with her.
Good
I want
point.
to agree with my sister there who talked about medical missionary work, because if you know you're living in the country, you know that certain critters will be out there, then you would have a must-have for your first aid kit would be things that will help you with snake bites and things like that. So you'll have your charcoal and your different things in your house already made up for emergency situations. So all those things you have to think about.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I agree with all the comments made before.
But hold on, let me just interject for a second. But what I'm saying is that why I said it's a difficult question is that we can't give you anything that's not official, that's not known for a fact. So myself and from Tim, if I can speak for Tim as well, we can't say try this and that when we don't know for sure it works. What I can tell you, what we know right now works. In terms of going forward in the future, I mean, we pray, we trust in God, but we can't tell you what hormonal remedies work, because we don't know, at this point, we don't know what hormonal remedies you can use for snake bites. What we know is antivenom works, and there's antivenom at the hospital, and right now we can access it, but in the future, that's a question we cannot answer right now.
Yeah, I was thinking, Lenn, actually, that exactly what you're saying, that some of the answers to that may lie with persons who already have experience in the field of medical missionary and who may know more about the herbal remedies, as opposed to your area is more on how to avoid, how to deal, and how to live together with.
Yeah.
I would like to say something as well.
Yeah, go on.
I would like to say that based on what the Bible has said, yes, we're talking about when the time comes, persecution comes, you won't be able to go to the hospital and stuff like that. But we have to also remember that God is going to protect his people during the end times. And the same way how he's going to provide manna for all of us who don't know how to, identify some herbs or plants to eat or whatever, he's going to supply the water, he's going to supply the food, and he's going to protect us from animals. We have the story in with Moses, when the Israelites were going through the desert, God protected them from the scorpions and from the snakes and from all the wild animals in the desert. So we just need to rely in trusting God that he will protect us through that, the same way how he protected the Israelites in the desert as well.
Yeah, that's a really
Can
good
I add in something, Lenn?
Good point. Yeah, go on, Link.
Yeah.
Yep.
First of all, I want us to take into consideration that country living is not something you do when you cannot buy and sell. Because if you really think about it, you cannot move into a country and buy property and build a house when you cannot buy and sell. So then country living has to be something you start way earlier than when we get to this time. The other thing as well is it's more important to know how to not get stung, where snakes' habitats are, what their behavior is, instead of trying to figure out how to, what to do after it gets stung. It's better to know how to not get stung than to figure out what to do after it gets stung. So what we're trying to do here is to have everybody be educated about what do snakes do? How do they behave? That's what we're learning here. And what we're learning here is that the best way forward right now for snake bites is that you get to the hospital. However, more important than that is to know how they operate, what they do, so you can be safe and not get bitten.
And what I'd like to add to that is everything else that we do. So for example, as medical missionaries, when we learn about the herbs and we learn about these things, we know that we pray first and we say, Lord, it's not the herbs, it's not the charcoal, it's not these things, but it is you who is giving us the ability to help in a particular way. So we have to understand that, like Lenn was saying, let us just decide, okay, in the time of no buying and selling and we cannot go to a hospital, we decide to use charcoal. There could be a possibility after we pray and we apply it that in that particular case, the person does die or the person passes due to the snake bite. It is not something where it's clear cut that you could say every single time you use charcoal or every time you use this particular herb, you will be cured from a snake bite. So I just wanted to add that in there so that we're not looking for a herb that will just cure all. So that's what I just want to add in there.
Yeah, some really good points from everyone there. I think what perpetuated the myths and the different types of herbal medicines used for snake bites in the past has been just that the fact that sometimes snakes do bite and it's a dry bite, so they don't inject any venom, and also some people might survive just the snake bite because the amount of venom that was injected in the first place, especially different species. So I think, like Lenn was saying, stick to the advice, which is to try and get to the hospital as quick as possible. And then I think it was Yuri who spoke about the Israelites in the 40 years in the desert and being protected from all the other dangers. If you ever Google kind of wildlife in the desert, it's not as sparse as you think. There are lots of different kind of poisonous species, scorpions, snakes, and so on that are very harmful there. But it said that the Israelites actually multiplied during that time exceedingly. So it just gives us a kind of a picture of God's protection, especially in the time of trouble, which is to come.
Amen. And Movin just asked a question about venom. Was it Movin is anti-venom specific? So yes and no. So you have some types of antivenom that work for a few different species of snakes, a few different similar species. We call these polyvalent antivenoms. So for example, the one we use in St. Lucia, we get from Costa Rica. Costa Rica does not have our snake, but has a similar snake. So and that antivenom works for a number of different similar a number of snakes which are similar to our species, a number of different types of furilas. So, but for somewhere like Trinidad or the US, we have pit vipers like the mapipi, and we also have the coral snake, or in the US you have cotton mouse, which are pit vipers, rattlesnakes, pit vipers. But you also have the coral snakes as well. Then you'd have like two different types. You'd have one for, because the coral snake's venom acts very differently. It affects the nervous system. So then you'll have like one for the two different types of coral snakes in the US and one for the rattlesnakes. So it's specific to the venom to a point, but yeah. But you can have antivenom working for a few different species. Hope that answers your question. Any more questions or comments? Or
I don't know if it was mentioned before, but it's good to know what the snake population is in whichever area you move, because there's different snake species across America. So like where I was in Virginia, there was 3 main poisonous snakes. Can't remember them by name right now. It was 3 of them.
Okay. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Is that Davian?
Yeah, that's Davian.
Davian? Yeah, Davian. So yeah, good point. So whatever area you're going to, do your homework. Look up the snakes in the region. Look up as many photos and videos as you can come across, so you get familiar with what they look like, and so you can ID them if you have to. So yeah, do your homework ASAP. Good point.
I think another point, like for persons in Trinidad and Tobago, We do not have anti-venom in all the hospitals. There might just be one particular one. So it's good if you're doing country living or something, you should know which of the hospitals actually have the anti-venom.
Yes, great point. Yes. Yeah, that was the case. I'm not sure in St. Lucia, at least a couple of years ago, only, what was just Victoria? Only Victoria had anti-venom.
Yeah.
I'm not sure for now if OKU has as well, but yeah, make sure you find out. I'm not home right now. I'm not on island right now. I need a stem. So we're not sure which hospital, but find out. If you're in St. Lucia, find out if wherever you are, find out which hospital keeps the antivenom in stock.
I think that's what Sam mentioned as well. So call ahead if you do get bitten. That's a really good point. Remember, I think a couple of years ago, somebody got bitten and they went to one of the hospitals and they didn't have any antivenom at the time and they had to call down. So it just saves the time and preparation.
So yeah, do your homework, find out what's in the area, talk to locals, find out which hospitals have antivenom. Knowledge is power. Curvan said, Tim?
I was just saying, one of the questions, I wrote down some of the questions, maybe we could, since you're on the slide with the best yard or garden or whatever, we could answer the question about how do you remove snakes from, I can't remember who it was from. They had two questions. How do you remove snake from the pond and remove snakes from land in general? Maybe we could answer that. If it's not already obvious, but yeah.
Yeah, you wanna go ahead?
Yeah, two things. Well, firstly, a snake on your land, how do I put it in a way that it's more accessible?
A snake on your land is your friend.
Which is, and I recognize the fear of snakes and the anxiety people have around snakes. So I would suggest, if you are afraid of it, makes no sense you trying to kill it or move it away. Be careful, know where it is. If you can see that it's moved, then leave it to move away. Or in the unlikely event, if you can, try to move it off your land. But in most cases, I wouldn't recommend the latter, to try and move it off your land. I would say leave it alone and allow it to move away. Or in most cases, we're just basking in the sun or trying to feed on any prey in the area. I don't know, what would you recommend, Len? Especially if it's a pond. I think a pond is another tricky area. You're dealing with water and slippage and all sorts of stuff. They're kind of,
Pond is tricky, yeah. Like you don't want to get into the pond with a snake that's swimming. If it's a venomous snake, that's a recipe for potentially a recipe for disaster. So who made the there's a quality experts, so they're persons who are, that's their job, like they come in and they catch snakes. So quality experts, don't try to catch a snake that's swimming in the pond by yourself. If the pond is a distance away from your house, you can just leave it. But get an expert. Don't try to resolve that on your own.
Yeah, I was thinking of in the country life situation that you're in the time of trouble and you find a snake on your plot of land, despite your best efforts to keep it tidy and clean. I would say leave it and avoid trying to, provocate it or anything. But yeah.
Somebody said pray, and somebody's asking, can we get snake traps like rat traps? The traps you use for snake surveys like drift nets and that sort of thing, or pitfall traps. But even those, snakes can climb out of. Tim, you know of any traps that you can use for catching snakes?
none that would keep them alive. So you could have
Yeah.
traps that would just kill them on the spot. Yeah.
But I guess is that violets, Stephanie? I don't mind them being killed. So
Sorry, yes, that's me. Yeah, I'm Violet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind them being killed if it were me. I mean,
yeah, that's a valid point. Sorry, Violet. Do you think that snakes have any benefit in the ecosystem or in general? What benefits do you think they have, if any?
I can't think right now. I'm sure if I were to think about it, that I would find that they did have some benefits, but I think like most people or some people were just averse to them. Yeah. I know they were there before us on the land, but I wouldn't feel comfortable. Yeah, if I found them, I'd want to kill them.
No problem. But just be careful when you're doing it as well. No, but those are all kind of valid points. But they are kind of perform a function in the environment, especially they feed on kind of prey species, especially rats, which were introduced to most of the Western world. So that's one of the
good to know.
numbers. But no, maybe if you can move on to another slide, Len, and then we can continue on there because it's playing disinfectant something.
Somebody wants to say that I'm going to import mongoose and cats. But yeah, even that causes another. I mean, we have mongoose already, and we wish we didn't have mongoose in St. Lucia and some of the other islands, because mongoose cause a whole bunch of other problems, like our bird life have been affected by mongoose. Yeah, mongoose they disrupt the whole chain because they're not native to the region. So they wipe out birds, they wipe out lizards, they wipe out, and that causes a whole destructive chain reaction. So mongoose and cats, yeah, they in terms of affecting our native wildlife, and it's a whole chain. So you affect one thing, and then it throws other things of balance, and you affect birds and insects, and then need insects to pollinate plants. So yeah, you bring in something that shouldn't be there. You cause problems which affects everything and everybody, including humans. So we don't want to bring in any more cats and mongoose because we're already trying to control these. Yeah, Tim, you said, yeah, go on to the next one.
Yeah, and then somebody put in a couple points there about disinfectant can chase them away. I've not heard of that one, but yeah. And how do you protect your pets, dogs, example dogs, from snakes? Another good point, but yeah, it's especially if you have a pet in your country living, they will, but dogs and in particular have a very good sense for kind of snakes and any other animals, so they will know that they're there or be able to bark or chase them away. It's in situation where they're kind of running off when they, like a human being, they just run into a snake or step over a snake and it happened to bite them. But I think probably having a dog on a lead or a leash or something might help, especially if you're going out with them. If they're around your house, I think they'll be okay in general, because they'll be able to spot the snake much earlier than you would.
So dog. So Tim, you want to take it from there, like for this?
Yeah, just kind of general information. So we went through a couple of questions, had a really good discussion about snakes in general and about the kind of fear and snakes and as Kim said, what are their behaviors? Where are you most likely to see them? What can you do? And so on. These slides are just in general, more relating to St. Lucia, which is where both of us are from. So apologies to others on the line from the US, Trinidad and elsewhere. We're in St. Lucia quite quite blessed really in the fact that we have lots of endemic species of animals. Just give some facts there about the size of the island and how well we are blessed with native species, including snakes. We have 4 species of endemic snakes down there, the boa constrictor.
By endemic, you mean?
By endemic, I mean, yeah, only found in St. Lucia and nowhere else in the world. So very unique to our the St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just had a question. You go on,
yeah,
go on.
I was looking at the question there as well. Let me just pull it up. If you could read it, Len, because it's difficult to go in between screens.
Yes, so Mervin is asking, what do snakes do in the day or night, or when it's hot, when it's cold?
So during the night, I believe they're also active because that's when, species like rats and mice also move about. So they're also active. And that's why during the day you'd find them kind of basking in the sun, resting or sometimes digesting their food from the night before. And those are the main ones I know. Yeah. But they can move during the day as well. It's not like they're nocturnal. They're not nocturnal species. They're active when the prey is active.
And he asked about temperature as well. When it's cool or hot.
Temperature, generally in the tropics, if it drops below a certain degree, they will bunch up in a coil and be able to keep themselves warm. If it's cold at night, I think during the day when it's sunny, that's why they would come out into the sun, into an open area, and kind of absorb a lot of that heat.
And I guess in like North America and places with winter, you'll have a few months where you have like basically no snake activity. So they'll hibernate well or brumate, so similar to hibernation, but they go through a period of like just about no activity. They barely move. So yes, like Tim said earlier, they're cold-blooded, so they can't regulate their own body temperature. So they rely on the external environment to have them control the temperature, the body temperature. Tim, question, yeah, go on, sorry. Somebody saying something?
I think somebody's mic is unmuted, so
okay.
You hear background noise.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Sam. So you wouldn't find them in a watery gutter? Question.
A watery gutter?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, because you find them in rivers, so yeah, you definitely find them in a gutter.
Yeah. I saw a question there about disinfectant. To be honest, I'm not sure about that, whether you use disinfectant for the snake bite or disinfectant as a repellent. I'm not sure of either, to be honest.
Yeah, either one. Yeah, we've seen nothing conclusive about that. Like, we know things like ammonia are used or are advocated by certain people, but there's nothing concrete saying that ammonia or disinfectant works. There's no known reliable repellent for snakes, if that's what you're referring to, Grace. And if you're thinking about it as a treatment, there's definitely don't use disinfectant as a snake bite treatment. And
yeah, man, on YouTube you could find pictures of snake handlers buying and showing all these products that are sold for snake repellents, and the snake walk right through it. Point the snake at it and the snake will walk right through it. So these things don't work at all. I mean, there's a guy in Australia, I don't remember his name right now, that I watch a lot of his snake videos, and he has debunked, if not all those products by now.
Cool, thanks, Nick. And question from Fabian. So in St. Lucia, broadly speaking, warming, resting, digesting during the day. So so Fabian, you summarize snake activity. They hunt at night, but you can also find them in the day moving around. But like Tim was saying, they're active whenever the prey species is active. So you find them moving in the day, you find them moving in the nights.
Yeah, if you can move to the next slide now.
Yep.
There are just a few more left, I think. And this is one snake that was actually brought to the forestry department, killed, of course, at the time. So just brought because I think somewhere up in the north, somebody killed it on their land and brought it to us to show them that there actually are snakes in these areas, but we know that the snakes can move throughout the island as well. And something that we can talk about here, Len, more in particular about St. Lucia, but we have a situation with wild pigs, and the situation is such that it's causing a lot of either killing of snakes because pigs eat anything and everything in their path, and B, driving them
the
out.
pigs?
Yeah, wild pigs in the St. Lucia.
Tim, I'm so happy you brought that up because I was just waiting for a moment to say that we have concentrated a lot on snakes tonight.
Yeah.
But I'm very much interested in hearing on how to be able to coexist with wild pig, because right now I have property in an area that has both. And I'm interested in how to coexist with both of them.
Well, there's limited coexistence you could do with a wild pig. A wild pig and known to do anything and that they'd like, especially wallowing and destroying the soil. And if you have any garden, they'd eat it. But what I was going to finish saying is that they also, during my time in forestry, we also see a lot of snakes outside of the forest boundaries, a lot coming out to kind of feed, whereas they'd normally be kind of find generally within the forest, mainly because of the numbers of wild pigs in the St. Lucia rainforest. And two things. One being, I think St. Lucia in particular, kind of slow in reacting to the wild pig situation. There was a hunting, because hunting is banned in St. Lucia, it was difficult for us to kind of open hunting just for wild pigs, knowing the conservation status of many of the other species. So we were asking kind of farmers to do a lot of the kind of trapping and killing of pigs as one of the solutions, because pigs aren't native. Pigs were introduced for meat and so on. But coexistence is very difficult, and I totally understand where you're coming from, Sam, and especially having pigs in the area. Especially as we ourselves, we don't, there's no product from pig. If you kill it, there's, it is either just bury it or something, because we don't eat pig or anything. So yeah, I don't know. Len, do you have anything how to coexist with wild pigs, or what would you do?
But I don't think there's any country in the world that's had like real success with wild pigs. Like in parts of Texas, from what I read, they do like extensive poisoning and shooting even from helicopters. But pigs are they're smart. They really like fecal. They like produce so many young every year. So it's really difficult to control. Yeah, you can. I mean, if you have a firearm, you can shoot one or two. Well, a rifle, you can shoot one or two, or like make some sort of massive pitfall trap. Keep some dogs to try to keep them at bay, but you might lose one or two dogs because pigs can, a large boar can take out a few dogs. But yeah, pigs, yeah, that's a tough one. So while the fear is the major fear is with snakes, concerned snakes, but pigs are a bigger concern when it comes to country living by far, because pigs will tear up your garden every day of the week if they can.
Yesterday, I was going on a hike with Mitchell and Eli and Ellie, and I had to turn them back, because I saw pictures. I think it was only one, because there was only one set of trails I saw. But while I was continuing to go, I noticed I'm actually following the path of the pig, because I continued seeing the traffic, never left the trail. So then I felt it wise to turn back. Yeah.
But you would say that the pigs would be more of a danger than the snakes. I'm guessing because the snakes, they don't come running after you with the wild pigs.
I know situations here of people of guys getting attacked. There's a guy I met in Debawa some years ago, and yeah, a pig chased him down, and yeah, he has a serious cut on his leg, on his thigh, being attacked by a wild pig. Most cases though, like from my experience, and I don't know for Tim, but they hear you, they run away.
I have to drop off for a little bit. My daughter just woke up. I'll come back in a second.
Okay, yeah man. So yeah, they run away most times, but can never tell. I mean, if they want to do damage, they can.
Len, they can be very aggressive sometimes. I know they have attacked my father, and so they can be aggressive. I think they are probably more aggressive than snakes, because in the snakes situation is usually when they feel they're in danger. But these snakes, these pigs, especially if they are moving in, several of them at a time, they're aggressive and can attack.
Yeah. I know some hunters would go out in Lucia. I mean, although hunting is like officially illegal, but I mean, a lot of guys still hunt pigs in St. Lucia. And they'd go hunting with like 5 dogs and come back with 2, like pigs would take out 1 or 2. Yeah, so pigs are something you need to be careful when going through a bush. Yeah, be careful with pigs.
My plan for them, Len, is to I want to carry a crossbow. I don't know how I get it, but on a more realistically, I want to actually, if I know anybody that actually hunts them, I would invite them
to the property,
to my property, to see what they find and take it down. Snakes, the pigs are not protected in any way. They're
no, they're not.
Yeah. So I'd invite them over to the property.
Yeah. And there are a few. I mean, the wild hunting officially on the books is illegal, but yeah, there are lots of hunters in St. Lucia. Not enough to eradicate the pigs though, but you have a few in your area, like down in Soufrière. I know one personally, so yeah, they'll be happy to come and help you out. But KP asked a question: can we hunt and sell pigs? KP's asking, as Adventists, can we hunt and sell pigs?
I have one answer to that. I know an Adventist in the Monrepo area. He has a firearm, he has his garden, the pigs have been affected, he's been affected by the pigs. So he has a licensed firearm. So what he does, he assists the hunters, he shoots them, and he leave it up to them. They do whatever they want with it. For him, it's a win-win because it's affecting his garden, so he just do the killing. But from there, he has no other part with it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that, Sam. Any other comments or questions about pigs or snakes or whatever other wildlife species or issues in your minds?
Well, for me, Len, I just want to go over because, as I said on where I do have some property for the future, have both pigs. That's in Prale. I'm sure you very much familiar with that area. Up in the woods, on the top where La Paradis was making the golf course.
Okay, yeah.
In that area, you would know they have snakes.
Yeah.
So I just want to go over, if my understanding tonight is correct, we were saying some of the best ways to deal with snake is to keep your place clean, avoid a habitat for rodents where they can feed on, and otherwise be careful when you are venturing out there. Is that basically
Yeah, that's exactly it, Sam. Yep. Be careful, protect your extremities. Long pants, boots, Euro boots, or hiking boots with long pants. Yeah, jeans. Although it's difficult to hike with jeans, because you get really hot. But yeah, jeans offer some protection. But yeah, boots protect, and be careful. Keep your eyes open. Yeah, just keep scanning.
Is it true that when there's a lot of activity, they are more likely to flee?
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, they feel the vibrations. Yeah, so they don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to be around. They don't want to be around us. The snake's just looking for shelter and food. If
But
we
then they not immediately flee though.
not
As soon
yeah,
as the activity, it's prolonged activity. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to add to what he said. I want to add snake traps. If you know where you're going to be have snakes, you could get snake traps. One other advice is to ensure that you know it's ground you're stepping on.
Lenn, could you repeat what you said, and could you also explain what snake traps are, please?
Lenn, but you of all people, come on.
Now, but you know what they are.
Yeah, all right. Snake traps is protected. Well, you could get snake. There's two ways. You could either get a snake boots, which kind of has the traps already built in. It's a barrier to prevent the fangs from going into your flesh. That's how simple I'll put it. So then, in order to keep, because as we learned earlier tonight, that it's more possible to get stung on your legs. So the snake traps, you could also get snake gloves as well. Add that too. It would be nice, Lenn, if we maybe provide a link of gear you maybe recommend, a brand you recommend.
And I'm typing my email into the chat as well.
Yeah.
So if you do email me.
There was a second point Lyndon made. He said ensure something. I did not hear what that was.
Yeah, I would say ensure you're stepping on ground. Don't step on what you don't walk where you cannot see. Don't step on plywood or galvanized that's just lying on the ground, especially if you're in a snake place. Don't, because the snake would be looking to hide. The rat would most likely be hiding as well. So the snake would be where the rat would hide.
And in addition to that, I guess we can say, ensure if you are about to grab onto something that you know what you're grabbing onto.
Yeah, check it first. Yes. Be vigilant. And I think another good advice is to look at a lot of pictures of snakes. The more familiar you are with how it looks, the more likely you are to see it. The more likely you are to see it, because you know what you're looking for. After a while, the camouflage, your eye learns to see it. That's the thing. Your eye learns to see it. I mean, it's not bulletproof, but you learn to see it.
Right.
M just asked about taking a chainsaw to cut up the snakes.
That's overkill.
I want to ask M if he knows of anybody he or she knows of anybody who's been bitten by a snake.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if anybody who's been bitten by a snake, but I am just so fearful of snake. I was just like, just have my walker on, walking through the bush. When I see it, I just cut it.
But the one thing I find with talking to anybody about snakes is the reaction to their fear about snakes is to kill, but the reaction to fear about most other things is to either avoid. For example, you're afraid of a lion, you would never try to go, or a big cat. But I don't know. It's anytime I speak to people about snakes, their fear reaction is to kill them.
Lenn, Tim know about the two-legged snake?
Well, yeah, those are the worst ones.
These are the worst. Yeah.
And if you're in country living anywhere you are, a lot of the two-legged snakes are already there. So
that's the only snakes we worry about in the forest. Like those that walk on two legs. Yeah, that these are the dangerous ones. Question from Ina de Tourville. Can we tell the color and pattern of the snake? Okay, so red and yellow. Okay, so you're referring to coral snakes, I'm guessing, Ina. So the general rule for North America is if you have So you have bands of colors on the coral snakes. Red on yellow, killer fellow. Red on black, venom lac, or friend of Jack. So if it's red, if the red band touches the yellow, then it's dangerous. You have some exceptions there, so be careful of that. For example, I think it's a shovel-nosed snake. It's in the western part of the US in a desert, the Sonoran Desert, something like so of that sort. It has similar color bands. So, but generally across the US, yeah, the rule holds. That rule holds. If you're somewhere else in the world, though, don't try to apply that. Yeah.
Don't work. Somebody had a question in there about protecting their children from snakes. I would say with that, have a kind of a wide area for them to play, clear, so that they could, play and see any kind of danger, including snakes or anything else. And then, teach them, educate them about, the boundaries and what could be, on the other side of that, of the cleared area, including snakes and wild pigs and so on, and to be aware, because I think children, once they know something, can be even more observant than we are sometimes, because they're looking out for it a little bit more, and need concern about them. But it's always good to have a clear area wide enough so that they could play, and to be around your house or so on. But educate them as you know yourself. Somebody else put something in the chat there. Sorry.
How do you make antivenom? Well, it's a bit difficult to make your own, but antivenom usually take venom from a snake and inject it into most times it's horses. So you inject the venom into the horse, and then you extract the serum from the horse's blood. So you inject the horse, or sometimes the sheep or cow, but most times it's horses, and then you extract the serum, and that's how you get antivenom. So it's a process. It can be expensive to make, but yeah. So I'm not sure if you're thinking about making your own, that that might be possible. And I just got reminded that we should remind everybody that snakes, although most times they find them on the ground, they also climb. So scan the ground, but also look at the branches, overhanging branches. Just keep your eyes open. Just be vigilant, like Tim and Nick was saying. Is there a fencing that can keep snakes out? Yes, but like Tim, like in the mainland islands, you can have these fences that are really expensive to make though. But you can have fences that can keep snakes out, but they specialize and expensive. I can provide more information if by email and so on.
Yeah, they'll keep snakes out, but they probably won't keep out wild pigs. So
you
have another problem if you live in an area with those two.
And we have another question about what hospital. How can charcoal hold up with venom before going to the hospital? Yes, I think we touched on charcoal earlier. Like, we don't know how effective. I mean, charcoal absorbs toxins, but in terms of something that's injected into, whether it's into the bloodstream or the lymphatic system, whatever, we're not sure how charcoal will. From my experience reading and learning and speaking to experts about snakes and so on, nobody has ever recommended using charcoal after being bitten.
And then something I've realized that people think that when you get bitten by a snake, the venom stays around the same area. It instantly moves into your bloodstream and it goes through your circulatory system almost within the same time. So what's happening is not like a bee sting where, it sting and it's in the area and then you feel a burning sensation in that one area. The venom works by, various ways, but one of them is to destroy blood cells.
Mm-hmm. And then, is there a way to keep them off your fruit trees? Keep snakes off your fruit trees? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you do that. Yeah, I don't know. Team, any ideas on how to keep them off fruit trees?
I know with coconut trees, they put a metal ring to prevent, but mainly for things like rats and mongoose and opossums. I'm not sure. Yeah, just be vigilant. And if your tree or your fruit tree is in an area where there are lots of birds or rats coming at night to eat the fruits and so on, or even bats there. Particularly boars, I think would do that. So would climb and get birds and bats and trees and fruit trees. What's a two-legged snake?
Tim, are you hearing some feedback from?
Listra might be Brandon.
Thanks, Listra. So what was the next question, Tim? What do you say?
There's somebody says galvanized to keep wild pigs out. I don't think I don't know if Lenn, you know of any kind of barriers for wild pigs. I don't know of any at all.
But that fence would have to be really steady because pigs dig, pigs are strong, pigs are smart. Yeah, I don't know. If you have enough money, you can make a really, really steady like a.
I mean, not only that, if you're speaking about acres of land and you have to do galvanized fence, you're talking about a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I know they trap them, Lenn. I know there's a trap they make and they bait it with dry coconut, I think, and it's a really sturdy trap though. I saw it up in the pastures area, all the way in the back, right up inside the pastures. I saw one there, and the other, it looked like it's been there a while, and the pig's not interested in it too. But I saw there some traps there. Yeah, so I guess that's something that can be considered trapping.
Yeah. Some of the hunters use traps. Yeah, so that's an option. What are the two-legged snakes? Take a guess of iPhone. What are two-legged snakes? Anybody else wants to guess what two-legged snakes are? Humans are two-legged snakes.
Yeah, the ones that you cannot predict or
the ones that pretend to be your friends.
Yeah.
And then this back.
But in the forest, you have lots of guys who are engaged in illegal activities. So just be mindful of that as well. Like, while we might be afraid of snakes, but the real fear we should have is humans. Who's hiding or who's growing something that's illegal or who's
So there have been instances where you find guys actually on somebody's property growing marijuana and the person is not.
Yes, Sam, we lost you.
Instances where you get someone on somebody's property growing marijuana and the person who have not visited the property for a while is not even aware. So yes, sometimes you have to be careful of even human beings' activity.
Yeah. And Sam, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. Like all over the island, you have marijuana being grown illegally. Like East Coast, West Coast, the center of the island, in the middle of the rainforest. Yeah, you'd be surprised where you be on a trail doing some survey or hiking, and you randomly you find yourself in the middle of a plantation. So yeah, that's something to always keep in mind.
So what I'm getting from tonight is that if you plan to go country living, you need to learn how to live in harmony with nature.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But also surrender to God's will and allow Him to provide that hedge of protection around you and your family.
Amen. I totally agree to that.
And that's most important thing. Most important takeaway there.
Yeah, because one thing again, going back to those Israelites in going towards the promised land, I think one of the passages it mentions the fact that although that they had arrived at the promised land, they still had the desire and they still hope and they had the life of being in Egypt under bondage, because they still had that kind of the ideas in their mind about how they worshipped and so on. I think that was when they were being told to conquer different lands before they got to the promised land. Yeah. So it's, yeah, even though you're in country life and you're trying to, escaping persecution, you still have to surrender and to build that relationship with Christ daily. Let me just go to my phone because I think my.
I love that point you made, Tim, because it's true. Country living is not about escaping persecution. It's about character development.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
What are you saying, Nick?
Yeah, I say I love the point Tim made. Country living is not about escaping persecution. I love that point.
I see
it's more about character development, if anything.
Character development. Yeah, like I love that point, huh? Yeah. Restore to serve. Gone?
Yeah, question to you. Good night, family. Good
night.
When you had snakes in the Caribbean, right? They use a mongoose to deal with the snakes. What I want to find out, how you deal with the mongoose?
Yeah, that's the thing, eh? So the mongoose were brought in to control the snakes, which they didn't do. Like we still have venomous snakes in St. Lucia, for instance. But yeah, the mongoose are a bigger problem than the snakes, because yeah, they kill our birds and our lizards and cause problems in the ecosystem. To kill mongoose, yeah, traps. You can get some traps for mongoose. But I mean, yeah, you'll have to buy I don't know if you could make your own traps though, but I've seen you can purchase instant traps. Tim, you have any recommendations for mongoose?
Like wild pigs, they breed a lot, and also they have kind of wide ranges, so they move within a wide area as well. And what we found out in Louvet, we were trapping them because we were trying to protect iguanas nesting on the beach in Louvet, iguanas and also turtles nesting on the beach in Louvet. And when you trap them in the area, others move out because they're territorial as well. So other mongoose from outside of their territory move into the area. So you never actually get rid of the population of mongoose. It's very difficult to do that once they've established themselves.
I have a question on mongoose, but before I ask that question, I just want to reiterate the point of country living is character building, and a huge area of character building is for us to learn to trust God rather than harbor fear, because fear, as we know, is not of God. And it has to build our character to a point where we trust God and we understand that ultimately, apart from everything else that we've mentioned tonight, ultimately our protection really lies in His hands. Yes. So that aspect, I just think I wanted to reiterate. But in light of the question when it relates to mongoose, apart from the danger to our birds, chicken, and lizards, what danger is mongoose to your crops?
Good point. Yeah, I've not heard of people saying that mongoose eat even kind of vegetables.
Another question. Mongoose doesn't eat snakes in St. Lucia?
No, Vasa. You hardly, well, what we found in when we were doing research in St. Lucia, the two never meet. The two avoid each other in most cases, and you see in movies where you see a mongoose, killing a snake or fighting. Those two animals,
you need to import a couple of them from Jamaica.
They actually eat snakes, go after snakes. When they have easier thing than like lizards and birds who are just easier prey than a snake that could fight and kill them. Nah, man. One or two occasions you might find out if somebody put the two of them together. Less likely. Movies give us a wrong impression about a lot of things. And let's not even start on mongoose and snakes.
Oh my goodness. Gentlemen, I know both of you would not recommend killing snakes, but we've had very little success in St. Lucia in that regard. Most people, they see a snake and the first thing is to kill it.
Yeah. So you had a question, Sam, or just making a comment?
Just making a comment, and I mean, I know you've not said it much tonight, but I know from both of you on the team would say, do not kill them, based on, I mean, not only your experience, but your line of work. And I'm just making an observation that in St. Lucia, we've had very little success in that regard because almost 99% of those who would see a poisonous snake in St. Lucia would want to kill it.
Yeah, you're very right, Sam, because even in cases when it's not the poisonous one, it's our protected boa constrictor, people still kill it because it's just a snake.
Yes.
The fear response is to kill.
Yeah, that's very true. And I so love a boa, man.
I had an experience, Lenn, where I told somebody I saw a snake. The very next question was, did you kill it? You kill it?
Yeah.
I saw this snake so far into the forest. You kill it? Like, what? No.
But some people can't tell the difference between the boa and
and that's why they kill everything because they can't tell.
It moves, it's on the ground, it looks like a snake, you kill it.
Yeah.
Opal, I saw your mic was unmuted. Did you have a question? Oh, I see a hand up.
Yuri?
Opal, I saw her.
Oh yeah, I did unmute, but it passes. The point I was making when gentleman was talking about the mango in Jamaica, the snakes became extinct because when they brought the mangoes. So it's strange that it doesn't do the same in St. Lucia, maybe the type of snakes you have. And most of the snakes that we have there now are snakes that have since been imported, like people have pets, or they bring them from these exotic snakes, and then they're tired to take care of them and they let them go. And so but as a child, I think I probably saw one little snake, and we lived in the country, but we saw on a mongoose. So we were told that the mongoose basically took care of the snake, all of them. Yeah, so it was just a comment.
No, I think some of it is true that snakes were brought into deal with snake. Mongooses were brought into to deal with snakes, but in lots of these Caribbean islands, which were under kind of plantation or either sugarcane or what other crop, there are a lot was given in terms of bounties for the heads of snakes in some of these areas. So that I think that had more of a role to play in the extinction of snakes in a lot of these other Caribbean islands and other places, other than mongooses. Like as I said, they would go after them, but there's so much more easier prey for them to go after that they would avoid snakes and go for them instead.
And they probably affected the harmless ones, like the racer, when the racer was all over the island, and the creeper. So, you go on?
No, I was saying she was probably talking about the Jamaican experience, and I don't know in detail, but I could find out as well. But I knew in a lot of the other Caribbean islands, bounties were placed on snakes because of the need for plantations came to be cut. So you had to, and a lot of people were bitten by snakes or fearful of them.
Yeah.
And there's even a rumor in St. Lucia that the furtherlands, our poisonous snake was imported from South America to make the slaves afraid of them, and also to keep them at the mercy of the slave, the plantation owners, and so on, which is absolutely false. It's it's endemic to St. Lucia.
Yeah, well, our snake is unique, only found in St. Lucia. There was a question about which areas in St. Lucia. Somebody asked, what areas in St. Lucia have wild pigs or something to that effect? Or how do you identify? I'm scrolling up. How do you identify? Yeah, so wild pigs are where we have forests. So you have, yeah, they're in the center, in the Central Forest Reserve. You name it, they're there. They're on the East Coast. They're in the West. Pigs roam. They can be anywhere.
And let's be clear, these are pigs that escaped from, farms and so on. They were kept as farm animals, and they escaped into the forest, and they've now started breeding and become wild, rather than, somebody introducing a wild pig into St. Lucia. Or anywhere else, really, because they even have them in Germany as well.
Gentlemen, I think one of the things that has not really been underscored tonight is I think there's a need for people to understand the importance of the snake in the ecosystem, which will give a better appreciation for why they are here and how we should treat them, as opposed to only concentrating on the aspect that it's poisonous and potentially deadly.
That's a really good point, Sam.
Yep, good point, Sam.
Two people have their hands up, Restore to Serve and Yuri.
Restore to Serve wanted to get a link for Bread for Life. I don't know if there's a way I can do that. That person is in the Caribbean or is in the United States.
Bread for Life. I have no idea. Link, do you know what Bread for Life? What is Bread for Life?
The person is on the chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. It's a bakery, Bread for Life Bakery. So
okay.
I remember she spoke. It's a lady who spoke.
Okay.
But she might get back to you in the chat. Restore to Serve.
Okay, thanks.
Cool.
And Yuri, your question or comment?
Yes, I'm not sure who spoke before the person that asked the question about a ministry, but the person before that, I agree with him. You guys did a great job. I'm not saying that you guys did not make a great job or anything, but I think that many people that just go out there and kill the snakes, maybe it's just best to educate ourselves what type of snakes are venomous and what aren't, because snakes can help out with the pests around, that could be eating your garden. And mice and all those pests that you want to eliminate. So I think educating ourselves, depending on what part of the world you live, what kind of snakes are beneficial and what snakes are not, or are venomous, basically.
Yeah, great point, Yuri. I mean, even the venomous snakes are beneficial, huh? So all native snakes.
Yeah.
So so what you and Sam, Yuri and Sam were saying, we need to really underscore the point that snakes have a role to play in the ecosystem. They are irreplaceable. So if you remove the snakes from that delicate food chain, there will be severe repercussions. So the snakes eat rodents, for instance. No snakes, rodent population explodes. What is venomous or non-venomous? Snakes, you remove them from the equation, the rodent population explodes. The rodents eat everything you have, everything in your garden, and so on. So snakes play a critical role in the system, in the ecosystem. So just like anything else. So no part of creation is an accident. Snakes were created. Yeah, today. We have as custodians of the environment, we have a role to play in protecting snakes, including the venomous ones. So even if we may all not become comfortable with them, but yeah, they are critical to our well-being.
Yeah. And back to Yuri again. Well, one of my kind of main aims from tonight or this morning, Wednesday morning, my time, is to not just educate, but to have a discussion about the things that we are afraid of, to understand our fears, and relate that to our relationship with Christ, and to relate that to the choices that we'll have to make with regards to fleeing persecution, and how I think Link said about building character, and to kind of help us along that journey and understanding, what is there that we might be afraid of and what we should prepare ourselves for spiritually. And not just, whether or not my preference is to not kill a snake or to, I'm not telling anybody not to kill a snake in particular. I'm saying, lots of other things, the dangers and so on, and where you can find them, and the behaviors and so on, and what you must do to avoid being bitten, because I would not like for any one of you or anyone to be bitten. Anyway,
I think we have to start to wrap up. So any more questions or comments?
Well, I don't have a question or comment. Team and Lenman, it was very good to see you guys.
Good to